This isn't a normal topic of conversation for me, but Narelle, I wanted to talk to you about dog poop and what it's telling us. Now, I don't mean literally understand that dog poop doesn't talk. Lara wanted to make sure I clarified that, but what is it telling us?
Well, you don't have to worry about talking about poop because as a clinical naturopath and nutritionist for both people and pets, talking about poo is something I do on a daily basis. And it's a really important topic because our dog's feces or their poo actually tells us a lot about them, including their diet as well as their overall health and well-being, just like it does with us humans.
What should we be looking out for?
Well, to start with, colour can give us a really good insight into our dog's health and their digestive system. So a light to dark brown is really what we're looking for when it comes to the ideal poo. If the stool is very white or has a chalk-like consistency, chances are you're feeding too much calcium in the diet, and that's usually from excess bone. And while bones are great for our dogs, we have to be careful not to overfeed them. A grey colour may indicate too much fat in the diet or the dog has an issue with its pancreas. And if you see colours like orange or green, that may be as simple as too much carrot or the dog is eating too much grass, but it can also be an indication of some more serious conditions relating to the liver and the gallbladder. If you see bright red or even a dark black tar-looking stool, that generally indicates the presence of blood. So definitely speak to your vet if you notice any of those last few that I've just mentioned.
I can't even believe I'm asking this, but what about the consistency? You know, like if it's a bit like Mr. Whippy or a picnic bar, what's that telling us?
It's actually a really good question because the ideal poo should be slightly moist but still firm and have a well-formed log shape. So whether that's continuous or in segments, which basically means it should be really easy to pick up without leaving any residue on the ground.
So like a cake, really?
Yeah.
Like a good cake?
What you don't want to see are dry, hard pellets because that could be an indication of inadequate water intake or inappropriate levels of fibre in the diet. You also don't want to see very sloppy or smelly stools. And from my experience, I often see that in dogs who are consuming a diet that's too high in starchy carbohydrates because it's not as well absorbed by the body, which leads to a larger amount of softer stools, and it can also contribute to conditions such as irritable bowel syndrome. You definitely don't want to see diarrhea on a regular basis, particularly if it's very watery, because this is usually a sign of infection and can quickly lead to dehydration, especially in young puppies.
Right, so how much does diet, I imagine a lot, how does that feed into what the dog's stool looks like or becomes like?
Absolutely. So there was a recent study actually done that showed that dogs that were fed a raw meat-based diet actually had improvements in what's called their fecal score. And what that means is that there was less poo overall because the diet was more digestible. Okay. And hey, who doesn't want less poo to pick up?
Yep, me, yeah.
But the consistency or the form of the poo was better, which was an indication of improved gut health for those dogs.
Cool. Is there anything else we should be looking out for?
Well, as most pet parents no doubt know, we can often see some pretty interesting contents in our dogs' poos from time to time. And that may include grass, leaves, rocks, parts of their toys or any other random household items. But you don't want to be seeing worms, and if that's the case, you definitely need to treat appropriately. If you see mucus on an ongoing basis, that could be a sign of inflammation and infection. If you notice your dog straining to go but there's nothing coming out, and they also seem distressed or in pain, chances are they've swallowed something and it's now causing a blockage. So absolutely straight to the vet for that. Yeah,
that makes sense. Thank you so much, because I thought this might be a bit of an awkward conversation, but it's been great. Cheers, Narelle.
Thank you.
Look, if you'd like to find out more, head to the Big Dog Resource Centre and check out their dog guide so you can download their poo-poo diary. And Do-do diary, so you can track your Pooches' poop.
How are Pooches' poos performing?
Oh, how your Pooches' poo is performing. Lara put that in so I'd get tongue-tied.
Yes, I did.
Thanks, Narelle.
Thanks.